Okay, now of all things, I've got the counter showing. I started this thing twice and it shut off on me, so I didn't know if I was out of memory or what. I use the memory management app that's in the system, and I hate the fact that we have to use all these apps to spy on us so they can collect data because it's convenient. And I really think we should be protected under the, under probably the Fourth Amendment, which is a right to privacy, which of course they took away when they got rid of Roe versus Wade. That's the only reason they got rid of that bloodletting right of theirs, R-I-T-E, because they didn't want us to say that we have a right to privacy and they couldn't do this data mining on us, this patriotic acts and bills and shit. Fuck this Congress, man. They need to all be strung up. Oh, as I snap off these little safety tabs that keep this thing attached to the card. We're talking about silent weapons for silent wars again. Wow, is that fancy. This is my new peeler, my new potato peeler, carrot peeler, apple peeler. Holy shit, is that thing sharp. Oh boy. I better not lose that little cover. Good God. This is stainless steel. So I'm glad I got it because it's stainless steel and I trust that. But they do put metals, trace mounts in different metals to harm us. And just to give you an example, this thing cost me about 14 bucks. Can you believe it? Potato peeler, 14 bucks. But it's the style I wanted, nice grip on it. And I can peel carrots in particular, skin the carrots. Now, the other peeler they had was $7 and it was a 3-pack. So it was actually a good price. You get 3 for far less than this. This is like 13, 14 bucks. And that's only $7, $7.31, something like that. But I read the label on there and I looked at the metals and it had chromium. And I'm thinking, chromium might be okay. I don't really know. But then they had manganese metal in the blade. So every time you slice with that, a few molecules of manganese go in you. And that stuff is cumulative. And it leads to bad problems. Excess manganese leads to schizophrenias, bipolar disorders, autistic spectrum. It contributes to that as well. And they used to spike Cheerios in infant soy formula with that manganese shit, causing this stuff. They did it to us on purpose. This stuff was started in about 1998, 1999, and that's why we've had the boom in autism that we've had. So they put these trace amounts of metals in us. In the Bible, it talks about Tubal Cain, and he was the craftsman that worked in metallurgy, fine metal stuff. Well, I'm not sure that wasn't a fallen angel giving us this advanced technology to help whack each other with, to help poison each other slowly and silently, with plausible deniability attached to it and all that. So if you see something that's got manganese in it in particular, aluminum, mercury, I don't know about chromium. There's some other metals that are pretty rare that I'm not a metallurgist. So those are also problematic. And our glassware was safe according to, what's her name? The Cure for All Cancers. Hulda? I think Dr. Hulda is her last name or first name. She warned us early on that you want to get the old clear Pyrex cookware because that was pure. But you have to be careful because some of that stuff has got embossed stamping in it, which indicates it's more modern. Some of it's got the old stamping in it. And then some of it's got colors in it. And anything that with the colors in it has got some other metal tossed into it. So they weren't able to pollute our glass cookware back when we made Pyrex, pure Pyrex. And she recommended that over the pots and pans that we have today. Because she said in the pots and pans they use trace amounts of these metals that are very toxic and dangerous to us. And you're going to ask, how toxic, how dangerous? Well, if you have, it's not cumulative, it's exponentially dangerous. So if you have one toxic metal in you, let's say that's 10 to the first power, so it's damaging at 10 times 1, so it's 10 times damaging to you. But if you add a second metal to that mix, say your mercury, then it's 10 squared, so it's 100 times more damaging. Then you add the third metal, let's say cadmium, it's 10 to the third power, which is 1,000 times more damaging. And if you add a fourth metal like manganese to it, it's 10 to the fourth power, or 10,000 times more toxic. That's the way it goes with that stuff. And so it really adds up. It's exponential, and it's dangerous. A lot of people have been diagnosed with schizophrenia because of this stuff. A lot of people have been diagnosed with bipolar disorders. And the criteria for these different mental health categories are overlapping. It's a bunch of checklists. That's all there is to it. And so they're not discrete categories like they pretend they are. They want to pretend, oh yeah, schizophrenia, that's all by itself, nothing else like it. Autism, that's all by itself, nothing like it, whereas we know there's a continuum on the autistic spectrum disorders. And so you've undoubtedly had somebody in your family that was on the autistic spectral disorder continuum. It's just like sexualities. We have homosexuality and heterosexuality, and we have all kinds of stuff in between. There's gradients. Generally, it's not absolute. That's kind of the way it is. And it's best to be flexible in that. If you're going to be able to help people, you most certainly have to be flexible in your thinking on that. I was trained to a very high degree. They kicked my fucking ass for 4 years before they let me out practicing independently on my own, and I didn't do very well in terms of protecting myself and recognizing the dangers around me. So part of that was because of the diversity, D-I-E, diversity, diversity, inclusion, equity, which you cannot legislate. That's the most unjust system in the world, to try to legislate equality. You can't do that. Everybody has different talents. Everybody has different strengths. By God, if you want to go with diversity, then fine. I'd like to be the shortstop for the Boston Red Sox. That'd be the position I'd like, or I'd like to be the quarterback for the New England Patriots. Fat chance of that, right? But if I want to identify like that, don't you have to recognize me? Don't you have to pay me what's commensurate with that identity I'm seeking? Or are you going to cheat me out of my identity? Are you going to cheat me out of what I so unjustly deserve? So, your cookware. Cast iron is probably okay. Stainless steel is maybe okay, but you got to remember there's other trace metals in there. Same with cast iron. Maybe it's not pure cast iron. And then you also have to worry about all the other shit. The forever chemicals, the Teflons and all that stuff they foisted off on us, which they say never goes away. So when all we folks are buried, maybe we do need to have a rebirth of the Earth's surface because of how we've let them pollute the Earth and pollute us. Our bodies, I wouldn't bother to embalm one of our bodies today. There's enough plasticizers, plastics, and other bullshit inside of us that they ain't going to decay for a long time. And we're probably toxic to landfills and toxic to even being planted in our own gardens. We're probably toxic to the earth at this point. But we allowed them to do that with their silent wars, their silent weapons. And this metal stuff will weaken your body and will help cancers to grow. They'll help cancers to take root. They also will help feed the parasites that they're tossing in there too. So the parasites that they're spraying in the air, putting on the food, putting in the pigs, everything else, they're going to have a heyday because they like that heavy metal stuff and they go after it. Of course, when they engulf it, it protects us from the heavy metal. And when we detox, they release that heavy metal and it's back in the system and it makes us sicker than dogs. So you got to be careful with your detox as well. Now, I'm glad I found this, and I'm glad I got it, because the other blade definitely had metals which they were revealing. It's on the label. And this is supposed to be just straight, plain stainless steel. So I'd rather take my chances with stainless steel and putting a little metal into my fiber, a little steel to build my temper and my temperament and my metal and my strength, and actually strengthen my aura. Then this other shit. If you go back to Genesis 3:15, you will see that the snake, the serpent, was sentenced to living on its belly, slithering on its belly, and to eating the dust of the earth. But these folks are busy crushing rocks, mining minerals, and they're putting that in our supplements, trying to tell us it's good for us, when it's not. It's not bioavailable. Sure, they make it in a plant, but what you want is nature's plant. Nature's plants take those compounds up in them and convert them into bioavailable material for us. So your real health plant is a green leafy plant, and along the banks of the river of life are the trees that leave perpetually. The leaves on the trees leaf in their season, I believe. Don't hold me to it. You go read it for yourself and you tell it to me. And they are healing for the nations. And we in North America have been blessed. We actually have the most powerful herbs and spices on the whole planet. How do I know that? We took the hit during the last day of the Lord. It was this place that became known as the wilderness. Remember, Jeremiah went to the wilderness. You're living in it, baby. As a matter of fact, this might actually be the original promised land, because the trees that were used in the building of Noah's Ark aren't found all the way around the planet. No, they aren't. And the trees that are described in the future in Revelations are only found in the North American continent. So I want you to protect yourselves. I want you to come out of her. If you can buy old utensils, old pots and pans, or better yet, the old Pyrex, the original stuff that's just pure white glass, it's going to be safer for you to cook in. And the stuff that's non-stick and the stuff they're coming out with, I don't trust any of that new stuff. I'm sure some of it's quite good, but I mean, we couldn't trust them this far, so why should we trust them now? They are incinerating us, our homes and all that, because they've got smart meters on their asses, and that allows them to pump in as big a jolt as they want and set the house on fire from the appliances. Pacific Gas and Electric owns all of that shit, and they are owned in turn by the famous Rothschild family. I don't know if she's still there, the industrial organizational psychologist who went to work there for Pacific Gas and Electric, and she came by to give us an orientation. It was nothing but fucking wokeness, because they hired a woman, DEI. Was she qualified? You know, she put on a good show. She did have professionalism about her, and she graduated before I did, and she came back and visited to let us know of her success. And I think she probably was the only one in the industrial organization program in her class that placed and had a job in her field. And I know that of my class, I think there were 19 of us, I was the only one that placed and got a job in the field. And of course, I didn't show up for graduation because I had a job to go to, man. I went up there and I moved and I went on to my job. I was working for the state of Nevada. I was working in the personnel department, working on tests, on selections and all that. And they kept trying to get me to approve a fancy software program that was going to waste millions of dollars, and it wasn't going to do a good job. They were just going to get their asses sued and spend millions of dollars on that. Sure, it was going to enlarge that Democrat state government they had there up at Carson City. Sure, it was going to do that, but it was going to be a bunch of confusion, a bunch of congestion in the courts from all that, and a hell of a set of big bills for them as they got into this horrible, horrible software system that was supposed to select people for them. Had a really liberal boss back then, and when I told him, that we shouldn't be doing this stuff of placing these people that aren't qualified, he in his wisdom told me, and this is the liberal perspective, those people need our help. If that ain't racist, what is? He said, those people need our help. I'm not going with that, I mean, I was not a very good student, and my college entrance examinations were really bad. I was 50 points below the mean in English and 50 points above the mean in mathematics. But I had an ace up my sleeve. In my freshman year of high school, the goddamn Jews of Winthrop, Massachusetts were riding my ass, and my brothers and my sisters. They wanted to keep my brother and my sister back a year in school, both of them back a year, saying that, well, our system is cumulative and they don't have all of this, so we need to hold them back. And it probably would have been proper for my brother, but not for my sister. Her English skills were, she's a smart ass and a manipulator. She's too fucking good. So, no, it didn't fit for her. But they couldn't do it to me because I walked in there and I was doing straight A work. But they couldn't give me the grades I was earning because the grades were cumulative. So all they could give me was a C. They explained that to me. That was the highest grade they could give me. And then after I'd been there for maybe a month, they told me I had to go sit for the college entrance examination with their other students in biology, in the specific subject of biology. I had to go over there and do that. I'd been there 6 weeks, man. I'd been reading the book on the rug, on the living room floor, in front of the television. Everybody else focused on that bullshit on the screen. And I'm in my own zone reading this book. Because I got to bone up, because I'm going to take a college entrance examination at MIT. Not the new MIT, the old MIT with the taller steps. I had to walk up at an angle, man. I was so small, so tiny. I had to walk up them at an angle in order to get my ass up those steps. And I remember it being a cold room, and I remember all those questions. And I just went through it and just answered. And my Jewish teacher in biology was and the other professors there, the teachers, the principals, were all upset. Why? Because I got a higher score than their students had gotten that had been there the whole time. Yeah, I pulled a 669. That's a way above the standard mean of 500 and the standard deviation of 50. So you think about that, that's 1, 2, 3, that's more than 3 standard deviations above the mean. And it was because of that one test that I took that I got admitted to graduate school. The other tests were 450 and 550, which is 1,000 points. It's just right at the mean. That's not graduate school material. Also, when I went to college, knowing that before I got to college, knowing that my English was deficient, I decided, well, I'm going to take the challenge, and I got a tutor at the school, and we set up private study, and I went through a lot of English grammar manuals, all these exercises on English grammar, and I busted my ass on those things, and it was no cakewalk for me. It was my hardest subject. I was deficient. I wanted to round myself up. I think I was trying to round myself up so I could go to school and become a goddamn attorney. I don't know when that attorney stuff started at this point. Anyway, I went to college, local college for the first year, stayed at home, And I had an English teacher, Mrs. Peck, I think was her name. Don't hold me to it. I didn't like her very much, and I don't think she liked me at all. And she pulled me aside and wanted me to read to her. So I'm reading, and she stops and says, "Okay, what's that mean?" And I'm looking at the little word he, H-E, 2 letters. What do you mean, what does he mean? What does it refer to? It's a referent. Okay. You missed the reference, so you don't even know what you're reading. Yeah. I skipped right over. I read the referent. I didn't have it in my memory long enough to remember what I was reading and what it was about and who he was. So she let me know that I had a reading problem. And she also busted my ass. I was doing my best to do a research paper, and of course, they won't let you write your own stuff. You've got to go find sources, and you got to copy it, and you got to pretend you didn't plagiarize it, and you got to pretend like somehow it's your own idea, which didn't make any sense to me at all. And I had to go down, and we were using library cards, and we were, you take the cards, and after you have all these cards together, then you sort them out and you categorize them so that they make sense. Tell more of a story, and you massage those and go through those, and that gives you the structure for the essays you're going to be writing on, the report you're going to be writing. And I cut a piece out of one of the magazines in the library. It wasn't very big, and I attached it to the card. And she busted my ass for that, and she was right in doing it. I was wrong. But I don't know if I'd ever been so embarrassed before in my life, because she wasn't going to let me get away with anything now. Yeah, she was a good teacher. She was probably one of the better ones. I had a history teacher who was a devout communist at the time. And I'm sitting in class, and they're saying, "Hey, the teacher's communist. Dr. McGowan, he's a communist." What are you talking about? Can't be a communist. And I'm sitting there naive as hell, you know. And I remember Rufus Reed was in the back of the classroom, a really good guitar player. And I guess they were having fun with my naivete. And it turned out he presented us with all of the contrary evidence about manifest destiny and all this other shit to show us how exploitive we were and how bad we were and how we had to, we had to throw away our heritage, and we had to do all this other stuff for everybody else. He was a communist, all right. And when I mentioned it and kind of confronted him with him, he just kind of shrugged it off. And I figured, well, I'm learning something. I'm hearing different perspectives. And so, I stayed in the class. It was required anyway. I think we were studying American history. Anyway, they've done the long march through all of our institutions, and they have stolen everything that they own. They're liars, thieves, and murderers. And that stuff's going to continue until we Americans decide that we're not going to participate in that system. It also is a British system of open trade, which destroyed the protections our nation had as a young country. And they gave us their legal system, which is illegal as hell under our Constitution, because the 13th Amendment was fully ratified and passed in 1813, or 1812 rather, but they violated it in 1813, and Abraham Lincoln overrode it because he was a bar bastard. Not only that, he was a Rothschild. But the Tsar reached out to Abraham Lincoln and offered the use of his navies. And Lincoln accepted that, and the Tsar stationed his navy. It showed up secret. They showed up one day, one morning, in the ports of New York and San Francisco, thereby keeping the banking cartels, the Rothschild brothers, the 5 brothers, from invading America during our Civil War and taking us down. And by the time of the Russo-Japanese War, or Sino-Japanese, Sino-Russian War, whatever the hell you call it, they had manipulated us with our media and we forgot about what the Russians had done for us, which was a real bad deal because we owed our very existence to them, and here we were going to war against them. So the bankers have been manipulating the whole damn thing the whole time, and they know they're caught, and they know they can't keep doing this much more, and they're looking for ways out. I don't want to give them a way out, but either we give them a way out or they'll destroy the rest of us. They'll stop at nothing. They'll launch our own nukes in our own silos against us. They will set off some sort of things to make our nuclear power plants unstable so that fissionable material spreads all over the continent. They will sabotage us in ways we just can't even imagine, can't even dream of. And at this point, I've talked too much, I'm sure, about that. I'm going to listen to this before I upload this. It'll be my third video today, and damn, that thing is sharp. I really need to get something besides this little piece of plastic, which I'm bound to lose over the blade, and my utensil drawer. That's going to be lost, and I'm going to cut myself up. I barely touched this from the oblique side, the soft side, and I could feel it. It's really sharp. Maybe it's too sharp of an instrument, too fine. The world is going to change very quickly. I still have hopium. I still have hope that we can do it fairly peacefully. But it looks like the people that run our nation from behind the scenes aren't going to allow that. And they're going to set us on each other. And I don't look forward to that one bit. We don't know who the good guys are, according to one of my mentors, one of the fellows who trained me up as a psychologist in industrial organizational psychology. And another psychologist who claimed she understood Donald Trump. Well, there's been so much to say against the man that I've shared a lot of that with her, and I still don't know what to make of him, to be quite honest with you. He's keeping everything off balance as best he can, and he's doing a kind of a ballerina act, like a big hippo in a china closet. He's doing his best not to knock dishes over, not to break the fine china. So he's in a tough spot, the rest of us are in a tough spot. I think we need to demand that he change his cabinet. This cabinet is not serving him very well. I would beg him to consider somebody like Colonel McGregor to be head of the Department of War, and put that little whippersnapper underneath the colonel. I think that would be in order. I think Hickseth has got the energy and got the heart, got the drive. He doesn't have the experience or the wisdom of Colonel McGregor. I would draft him if I was president. I do think that Colonel Wilkinson, I think that's his name, the guy that's got this stylish hairdo that I have, and he looks better wearing it. My God, the man is a lot older than I am, and I hope I'm as functional as he is. Well, I'd like to be that functional today, frankly. He's an amazing man, and he has insight into the history and all of that, and I'm sure it'd make a far better Secretary of State than what we have. There would not be divided loyalties there. Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio both have family members that were involved in the Kennedy, should I say the euphemism that Richard Nixon used, the Bay of Pigs, or should I just straight out say the murder of President Kennedy, the assassination of Kennedy? I don't want either two of those men in my government. I think Ted Cruz was a Canadian citizen when he was sworn in, elected and sworn in, which means he's not in office legally. So we should get his ass out of there. I think he's done some good things, but his time has come and gone. Get the fuck out. And then I think we have Mr. Rubio, who is He's got a grandfather, a father, something involved in the Kennedy assassination as well. And I don't know if his citizenship is proper or not, but he's Cuban, and he's got too much power. And I believe our president is in mortal danger because all that power is put into his hands, and they're ready to probably take our president out and put their vice president in, that Peter Thiel has raised since he was a little pet chihuahua, vicious little pet chihuahua. Has changed his name 3 times, and he's all ready to take over on that thing. So I would ask those of you who have a way to get my message to the president, or perhaps to the First Lady, to do so. I don't mean to offend. I don't mean to alarm, but I find the current circumstances, and my peers find the current circumstances alarming, and we believe action is in order. No man in the history of America has had as much power in his hands as Marco Rubio has today. I don't give a damn if that's Miriam Abelson's pet or son or child or something, stepchild, whatever the hell you want to call it. I don't give a damn about that. She is a dual citizen, and there should be no dual citizens allowed inside of our borders. They should not be allowed a choice. They should be just deported and barred from ever from entering the country, and more action than that should be taken, most likely, but that's the way I see it at this point. And of course, we got the banking interest, which Trump is, I don't know, he sure seems to be serving them quite well. And he's going to take us into the digital nightmare, the digital prison. And the people at the very top of the technocracy, he's the one they seem to be, he seems to be more beholden to them than anyone else. And it's sad because that technocracy was written about by Brzezinski, not Theodore Brzezinski, the brilliant gentleman who was a physicist, who was the Unabomber. If you read his manifesto, you would realize there's a lot to it. I didn't read the whole thing. I read enough to go, it's a little bit of a mind-twisting document here, but he was genius level. And Brzezinski, what was Brzezinski's first name? I just cited it a little bit ago. But he wrote the Technocracy. He was the Secretary of the State under Richard M. Nixon. So they've been doing this to us for a long time. I hope we go slowly. I don't want it to be fast. I think the slower we go, the more sure our feet will be on the ground, the more sure-footed we will be, the more grounded, and the more we'll be able to take proper stands. We do have to repeal the 13th Amendment of Abraham Lincoln and make null and void all the rest of those amendments and the case law built upon them. I don't know how we do all of that at one time, but we have to do it. It does mean women giving up their precious right to vote, but remember, there is no right to vote in the Constitution. Men don't even have that right. Only women have that right. It needs to go back to the states. That's where it belongs. That's where it will always belong. This federalizing has got to stop, the centralization of power. We need to go back to paper ballots, and if a state can't certify their ballots for their electoral votes, then I say we toss their vote out completely. We don't take either side. We just say, you don't get to vote this time. You're not included. So we'll decide it based on everyone else. And not only that, we might not, if it goes to the Congress, we might not even let you vote then because you fucked up so badly. If those people realize that they're not going to have representation because they don't deserve it, because they cheat, maybe they'll mind their P's and Q's. I do think that we need to get rid of the party system. I think we need to force these son of a bitches to get along so well enough that they know they're going to be in office together. Runner-up becomes vice president. Let those bastards fight it out. They'll have to mind their P's and Q's and be a lot more polite to be able to get along and pull together for this nation. Our founders had the right structure from the beginning. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. we can't improve upon it. Not only that, but we will tear ourselves another few more assholes, few more orifices from which to bleed by trying to change it and trying to get along. So let's not have a constitutional convention at all. Let's just go right to the law of the land, to the first 13 amendments, and the 13th Amendment eliminates the bars, the prison that we are all held in by the bar bastards, by those esquires that are actually, their fealty is towards the King of England or the Crown of England, however you want to say it. Maybe it's the corporation, maybe it's the guy wearing the damn gold helmet for all I know. I don't care at this point. We can't have a British mercantile system. It will not work in America. But they gave us one, and we got to get out of it. And the powers that be, the money powers and all that here, they're going to fight that tooth and nail. They will destroy us with whatever they have available if they can get away with it. They'll keep spraying us. They'll keep zapping us. They'll keep using their silent weapons. They'll keep using everything they have to hold on to power. And they'll destroy each other even. They'll destroy their own people. We know that because the bad guys ended up representing the Jews, the good Jews, and they murdered the good Jews so they could have the power so they could take it all over. And they continued that stuff. They murder each other. As my Jewish mother, B, used to tell me, if people really want to destroy the Jews, why don't they just leave us alone? The Jews will destroy themselves. And she also told me that she'd been over to Israel and she said those people are flat out crazy over there. Miss my Jewish mother, miss my birth mother, and well, someday I guess I'll miss Mother Earth too. But you know, we got a Father in heaven, very jealous. He says no worshiping the Queen of Heaven, no worshiping that bullshit. And he means it. He is Yahweh. And we are the riders of his storm. And to this house we're born. And so a lot of us, our fates were cast before the earth was formed. We existed. And we're here for a purpose. So make your life, give your life meaning. Make your life worthwhile. Don't die begging. Don't die in your bed wired up in some damn hospital facility where they do whatever the hell they want to you. You got no say in it. If you have to go on your feet, okay, so be it. If you get to go in your sleep, after you've had a good meal and you've been with your loved ones, making plans for the future, so be it. We don't get to choose the way we go. We choose our path, and he chooses our steps. So my faith is a little shaken these days. I've had a rough couple of months or so, actually. And it's all coming to a head. I got to take stands, and I got to value myself, and I got to make the other son of a bitch value me. And can't wait to get back in my rig and have all of the things that I need to do the type of warfare I have to do, which is letter writing, and I'm going to write just very few letters at this point. I could do a bunch of it. I know I can do that, but I think I'm just going to set it up to take it down right away and not drag this shit out anymore, because my time, they're wasting my time. They're counting upon me dying before we can settle this stuff. They are discriminating against old people left and right, and they think that we are helpless, and we are to a certain extent, but we should be honored. You know, we didn't get white hair and gray hair for nothing. At least in the native traditions in Alaska, back home, they respect that gray hair and that white hair. They don't have that many that live that long to get that stuff. And they know that that's where they're going to get the wisdom from. That's where they're going to get the heritage, the traditions, the stories. And they have respect for the most part, unless they're crocked out of their minds and nobody drinks like a native does. I know that's racist, but I thought I understood it, and I had all my white friends even telling me, you don't understand. And everybody's telling me, you don't understand. And after being there for a bit, I still don't understand, but they can drink like you would not believe and be out of their minds totally and just keep on doing it. I think it'd kill one of us, but for some reason, their enzymes are different and they process it different. They metabolize it differently. So, I got my lady friend to read the letter that President Trump wrote me. She said it might actually be from him. And I told her, I really don't care at this point. I recognize the signature. Nobody's got peaks and valleys in their signature like that. Now, talk about an ego, it's pretty grand. And that's maybe done by AutoPen for all I know. Maybe not. And she read the letter and was like, he did implement things along the way I would have done it. And I applaud him for that. I told him I might have started as low as 3%, but most likely 10%, but as low as 3%, and then increased it 1% per month till I got to the full tariff and duties, the traditional ones, the historic ones of 30%. The man definitely knows what he's doing. I don't know about the people around him, and I am worried. I am concerned. So I got a letter in the hopper from my congressman, and I'm looking forward to getting to a printer so I can print that son of a bitch and get her ass in the mail. It'll be there the next day from here where I'm at. But it needs to be delivered. I don't think it'll be well received. It's a very short letter. I think those jackasses will do whatever the fuck they want and fuck the rest of us. But when they get my letter, I'm hoping their asses wake up and they'll realize we better look into this. We better look into all 6 of these matters he's delegated to us right here. I made sure to end a paragraph with a short sentence that was a command. I said, since I am the people, see to it. And I meant it as sharp as it was, as short as it is, punctuating, staccato like the end of that paragraph. I didn't even tell them every man's name. I didn't tell them the details of every man. A lot of that shit's classified to this day. And I left out 3 men. I only put in there what I thought and what I think the time has come for. And that is to establish a little bit of world peace. Because we got to have it. The people that are running this stuff from behind the scenes would just as soon blow it all up as to yield and to give it up to us. They are sociopathic, insane. They're not psychopathically insane. Psychopaths are not in touch with reality. Sociopaths understand reality better than the average yokel does. They know how to manipulate the whole damn thing, and you don't catch a glimpse of them unless you're walking away. That's only then will you catch a glimpse for one of them for what they are. And if you do catch a glimpse, don't look back. That's nuclear, baby. You'll turn to a pillar of salt. They will come after your ass if they realize you recognize them for what they are, and then they'll realize you could be dangerous to them, and they'll kill your ass. That's the way it is. So I've gone long here. I got to feed the dog. I'm way past her feeding time. I thought this was going to be another short video. But do give it a thumbs up if you got something out of the video. Subscribe if you like this message, and if you don't, there's plenty of other channels. Be kind to the other people posting in the comment section. Sometimes this comment is a little short and cryptic, and I don't even understand it. And so I'll throw my hands up kind of in there and go, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. And sometimes you're talking about stuff that I look at and I go, man, I don't even want to go there because I know what you're talking about. So I'll keep on playing dumb and playing possum and doing my best to go along to get along for a bit. And I'm trying to make my way diligently. And I'm way out on a limb on the other coast. And I'm not used to this at all. Nice people here, but group acceptance here takes a hell of a lot longer than it does most places. And I'd love to see it in the summer when the leaves are out in the trees, or maybe the spring blossoms or the fall colors. But this weather changes fast. Half the time gale winds are ripping through the place. The geese, the snow geese, are hunkered down in the fields. They're not going anywhere. Nobody's shooting them. Nobody's hunting them. I don't like eating them. I'm not going to go hunting them. So here I am trying to move the mouse over from my laptop over to the cell phone. It doesn't exactly extend, does it? I'm used to having dual monitors going. It's been a while since I've been able to set up my home office like that. So I'm going to ask you to bless Yahweh, and I will ask Yahweh to bless you. So bless Yahweh. And you might think that's kind of odd that we're going to bless Yahweh. But read about King David in the Bible, because he blessed Yahweh. He blessed the Lord. And if that's okay for David, for the king, then it's okay for a little rook, little peon like me. I guess I'm slightly above the level of a pawn. No one escapes the prevailing brainwashing, not even Dr. Kent. We operate within these paradigms that have been built up over time. They become crystallized. It's going to be hard to bust out of them, hard to accept new knowledge and new information. You're going to be overwhelmed. Prepare for that. And just sit back and observe. Take a step back and think about what's really in my best interest. I mean, all this considered, what's in my best interest? You might not want to act on your emotions or on your rage. You know, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. And so you just might run or rely upon him to deliver that wicked person who's in front of you that you're just trying to avoid. Yahweh blesses self-defense, not rebellion. May Yahweh bless you.